evening, and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. And I'm your host, Dorothy O'Dell, for this evening. I want to give a shout out to the first sponsor of today's show, and that would be the Kimbra. So if you are one of those type of people that would love to get connected with a community that is absolutely rich and outrageous and that could give you more time, money, and freedom, then definitely hop over to thekimbra.com. And I'm trying to find it. There it is, thekimbra.com. Go check it out. The first Tuesday of every month, they have what's called the 411. Definitely you want to get into that class. So sign up today. Tell them the Unstoppable Overcomer sent you, and promise you won't regret it. With that, I want to bring up our amazing guest today, and that is Jonathan Bogner. Welcome to the show, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm feeling great, and I'm very pleased to be with you, Dorothy.
Oh, thank you. So for those of you that have no idea who Jonathan is, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm a film producer. I'm a reality producer. I have my own website called personalstories.net. Currently, I'm the only contributor, but I'm looking for other people to contribute their stories. And I'm enthusiastic about life. So I've got quite a story to tell.
And we can't wait to hear it. So I know Jonathan's story is quite unique. And just before we move on, I just was typing in www.personalstories.net.
Mm-hmm.
Go check that out. And so, Jonathan, you have, like I said, a very unique story. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, a little bit about that, and then we can go from there.
Well, thank you, Dorothy. So about 16 years ago, I was selling a movie in Park City, Sundance, came back, and I had two massive strokes. Strokes also affected, my about 20% brain loss. So two massive strokes, heart failure. And the worst thing of my life was I woke up with aphasia and the inability to speak. Couldn't say anything to anyone. And clearly I like to talk. And that's a big part of me. So I was just shut down.
Wow. And that must have been something, especially from being in the film industry, to not being able to talk at all.
Yeah, it's my life, pitching shows, pitching movies, talking. It's without being able to talk, it's immobilizing. So I had aphasia, and the aphasia, I remember being in the therapist's office with my wife. And the therapist said to my wife, even though I couldn't pronounce my wife's name, I called her Candy, but her name is Cindy. And so the therapist said, this is pretty much as good as it's going to get. Excuse me, because I'm also want to tell you I have aphasia, and the aphasia kind of affects my ability to speak. So bear with me. So the therapist said, this is pretty much it. And I was trapped in my body wanting to express that this is not me. I will overcome this. So I spent about a year and a half learning the alphabet, learning some math, and gradually got my voice with some intonation. So when you start to speak, you speak like a person from Holland, or you just speak monotone. And I had to kind of relearn the nuances of English. So I had an implantable defibrillator, and defibrillators, most people think of a defibrillator is, when they go to a school or an airport or a big event, they see these defibrillators, and it's someone or a medical person just will grab it and say, stand back, and we're going to shock that person. I had an implantable defibrillator in my heart.
Wow.
So it didn't go off for a couple of years, and then it started to go off, every 2 years, every year, every 6 months, and then finally, pretty much a year ago, I got shocked 2 times back to back, and clearly rushed to the hospital, and they. My cardiologist said, "Look, you're not leaving here until you get a new heart." So I kind of got moved up on the order of getting a heart. So I was in the hospital for 30 days, which seems to be, when you're in the hospital, it seems like an eternity. But from an objective point of view, 30 days is not that long. So I got the heart, and the interesting thing is I got a woman's heart.
Wow.
There are unique characteristics of the other sex from a man's point of view to talking to you and your partner, is that this heart that I got had spasms in the heart. And it took the cardiologist, it took 2 visits for a couple, maybe 4 or 5 days each visit to figure out what was going on. And finally, sometimes doctors use their monitors, and I don't see that your heart is spasming. It's like, look, I'm in a gown. Put your hand on my heart. No, I don't see it in the monitor. No. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Put your hand on my heart, and you'll feel the spasms. And it's not going to take a long time because it was spasming every minute. So finally, a doctor put his hand on my heart and said, like, "Oh my God, you're right." It's like, yeah, it's my body. I know what's going on. So don't listen to the monitor. So anyway, so they solved that problem. And then, recently, I think we spoke before I had the virus. So the heart, and maybe I was naive, but the heart and me were a mismatch, meaning I didn't have this virus, but the heart had the virus.
Right.
So sure enough, after the doctors put me off this drug that was trying to, they call it was a preventative drug, 3 months later, I got the virus, and it was raging out of control, and it really affected. Everyone kind of knows a little bit about their own anatomy, but, I was not aware of my pancreas. I don't really go to a GI doctor. It's like, "Oh, it's your pancreas." It's like, I know that's somewhere in my stomach area, but it's like, yeah, it's very specific. Okay. So I really learned about the pancreas. So it affected my pancreas, and the treatment was a drug, an antiviral drug. I've been on that drug for 3 months, and the good news is the virus is going down. So I feel very good that the virus is going down. When the virus was going down, it was an interesting thing that, when I got the virus was going down, and then my wife broke her foot. So now I'm the caregiver for my own wife.
Right. It's amazing how life works, right?
Yeah.
It all balances out. Just when you think that your wife is doing more, God kicks in and like, "Oh, well, wait a minute. Let Jonathan handle this a little bit here."
Yeah. And I don't, it's it's very interesting when you have a role reversal for someone who has been very, very sick for, pretty much 16 years. And having my wife break her foot, and she's in a boot. And, I now have to do everything with her, drive, fortunately I can do things that I couldn't do a year ago.
Right.
So, and shopping with my wife and do all these things. And it's pretty, she's a demanding person.
Now, would she say the same about you when you were sick?
You know what, Dorothy? I think she would say I'm a demanding person. Yeah, I think so.
So there's a mirror going on in your house there, buddy.
Yeah. There's a yeah. We say it's God works is in mysterious ways, and it's good for me. By the way, you know what? I don't mind it. It's everyone who gets sick, or if they get better, they should spend a couple weeks being someone else's caregiver, and then you really kind of understand that process too, because the caregiver is as important as the patient.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more. As somebody who has been a caregiver her entire life, I totally get you.
And it's also something that you said, when you have to take care of yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of your websites was about, sometimes, when the plane is descending and there's oxygen, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself, and then you can help other people. So in this case, I had to take care of myself, and I now have to take care of my wife. So it's a very much everyone should do this at one time or another.
Oh, I totally agree. You really have no idea what it's like to take care of somebody for years and decades. And, a lot of us just put our big girl panties on or big boy pants on and we just do it. Right. But it can become taxing and exhausting sometimes. And so case in point, I totally get you. Like I said, I took care of my parents, my husband's occasionally, get sick. He's diabetic, so things happen. And it's funny because I got a severe allergic reaction back in September that took a month to heal. And I was at my breaking point, and I just had to say to my husband, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just need to take care of me. Give me 24 hours. I just need to take care of me. And I as I was taking care of me, he was taking care of everything. So it's nice to be able to sit back, relax, and watch somebody else take care of everything. And it does something for you, Jonathan, because you said your wife took care of you for 16 years, and here you are taking care of her. So it's nice and you feel you yourself, I'm sure, feel appreciated now.
Right.
Right.
And it also goes back to kind of like, when I had the heart transplant, I was producing reality shows. I'm an entrepreneur by nature and by vocation. And I love to dabble and invest and look at other opportunities while producing movies. And I felt that when you need to kind of figure out a philosophy about when you have these life-changing happenings. Getting a heart is very traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
How can you and you're pretty much living on borrowed time, right? I mean, someone else's heart, they perfected it, but it is borrowed time because it was someone else's heart. So what can I do going forward to kind of make myself better and help other people along the way? So, I think it's all about, having a personal and a health philosophy. So I wake up every day, did a little, and it sounds hokey, do a little bit of meditation in the morning, do a little bit, and I say meditation, it's breathing exercises, because breathing controls everything. And the more, so you have to control your breathing. So I do a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon. Fortunately, I have a dog. And if you don't have a dog, find a friend, or you can walk by yourself. I walk every day, 7 days a week, between 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day. So that is, scientifically walking. You don't have to really do anything else but walk. Keeps your health, your well-being kind of when you get a little older, kind of like oiled. You know what I'm saying? So it keeps you motivated. I also work out every single day. And when I say every day, I do that. I don't, take up one day off. I just work out every day. I walk every day. And then I feel when I start to work, I'm much more effective.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm going to do and I do it. I don't, no procrastination. I just do it. So I'm much more efficient working, creating. So I have a philosophy and I want to be a motivational speaker for people. Like, when people get, have situations in their lives, they get depressed. Yeah. And I think depression is COVID is people were depressed, and especially men. Now it's like very open. You can tell people that you are depressed, and then people want to kind of help you going through the depression. And suicidal thoughts or having suicidal tendencies, that's a whole different problem. But depression is universal, I feel. And the drugs that I'm taking, there are side effects, and those side effects cause depression. So I have to battle every single day to be positive, being, again, all these cliches, they actually work, but, now that they're used over and over. But mindfulness, being mindful about, in general, your whole life. It's like you have to think before you act. So many of us, like, where did I put my keys? Because you're not mindful. You didn't think through what I'm going to put where I put my keys. So being mindful, having a good outlook on life. And you know what? Every day is a do-over. Whatever happens throughout the day, it could be the worst day ever. You wake up in the morning, it's a blue sky. Or, in Canada, maybe it's not a blue, maybe it's a gray sky. But you look up and it's like, this is a new day. This is a chance to do a do-over.
Yeah.
Same thing with relationships. I feel that if you're in a loving, good relationship with friends, family, and spouses, hopefully you can say, you know what? I was a jerk the other day. This is a new day. Let's move forward. But if I don't want to deal with the people who get I can't forget, I can't forgive. But you don't have to. No one's saying you can't. You can always you can remember that you have to be able to forgive. Mm-hmm. That's the choice. No one's saying you have a memory, you remember what I did or I didn't do, but you know what? Let's move on. And that's a unique characteristic I feel with humankind. We can just move on, a new day, the sky is out, the sky is not falling, and just move on.
I have a couple questions here. So have you had this philosophy your entire life, or since you've just had the female heart, or is this something that you've had your entire life, that philosophy?
I was always a positive person, but it has now manifested to having a kind of like a written philosophy of how I want to conduct my life. Yeah, it's much more well organized, but it helps if you're a positive person throughout your life.
Right. Right. I was just wondering if I don't know how to properly say this, I guess. I'll just say it and then hopefully it's so do you feel like normally women feel emotional where a man just goes to logical. So do you feel like how do you with having a female heart, is that what it boils down to right now, or do you think that would attribute to the female heart, or do you think that you've always been that way?
That's a very good question. I don't know fully what I was like before versus what I'm like now, but I want to imagine that there was some element that about, maybe my understanding, maybe, the female heart inside of a male's body helps,
mm-hmm.
And maybe men should be more guaranteed, they should be more understanding. At the same time, they should emote their emotions, because no one reads anyone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read your mind. You don't read my mind. You don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Unless I tell you what I'm thinking. So I feel men have an issue of not being emotional enough. And it's not a sign of weakness.
No, not at all. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because Kimberly and I are networked with a guy, Drew Duraney, out of New York. And Drew is the Real Men's Catalyst. He's been on the show a couple times. And he also has a men's support group, saying, teaching men that it's okay to be vulnerable. You don't have to, the term man up,
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing a new term to the term man up,
Mm-hmm.
with his caveman formula. So more on that.
Yeah,
but I would love to connect.
Yeah.
You two, because it seems like that it would be a great fit in order, to connect that, to connect you two, because, it's just funny. Like, men were taught, be tough. You can't show emotion. Can't be vulnerable. Can't show, be the men of the household. Can't do this. Can't do that. When, in my opinion, yes, you should. Like, everybody's entitled to their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, and allowing as a woman that is very strong and very independent. I know that if I don't I'm not going to say curb it or be somebody who I'm not, but I have to be really think and methodical on how I speak, especially to my husband, because I know that I am just a very strong, independent person, and I could just take over everything and just shut him out. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. So as that type of woman, I know that I need to, okay, wait a minute, slow my roll, think before I speak, really take into consideration how he thinks, how he feels. I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's some days I just like throw my hands up in the air, walk away, because I'm like, I don't know how to deal with the situation. But I think, as women, we should definitely allow the men to have their say, have them speak their truth, and really be vulnerable with us, because we're not mind readers, like you said, Jonathan. We don't know. Yes, yeah. I'm sure that you guys deal with your own things, your own pressures. And so, but being open and honest in the marriage or in your relationships, you should be able to talk about that. And I know, men for years have been told to just suck it up. But now I know that we're really behind Drew, trying to get his catalyst for the men going, because if you if we had that, I think the world would balance out, and I think that's what the world needs, is balance.
The thing is, I didn't know you until we spoke a couple weeks ago. Okay. So I don't know what you were like as a young girl, but I feel like you have evolved so that young girl versus the young woman that I'm speaking to has evolved, and you're much more better able to deal with, other, men in your lives, and women. But I'm saying you have to be cautious and be careful about the emotion versus how do we get there, okay, in the end. And so it's like the emotional side of everything, but there's a logical side for everything too. I just want to go back to something like, I think you're mentioning with Drew or something. I feel like, men also have this, like, when you work out or anything, it's like no pain, no gain. It's okay. That is absolute BS, because you work out and you have pain, and the pain tells you something. Don't work out much. Don't work out now. Let's rest. With no gain, the gain comes from a little bit of resting.
Right.
And also, you can live your life, and always remember a person who using the analogy of golf, right? There are people who play golf, and man, they can drive a ball almost to the green, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They don't make that shot every time. Versus a woman, it was a woman, she just consistently hits her club into the fairway. Okay? She pars, but the other person has the potential of being better or worse. But just being straight and narrow kind of makes the journey much more manageable.
I love that analogy, and you make me laugh because I started a golf tournament yearly after my dad passed away of cancer. So we have the first year I was on my husband's team along with a friend of his and a friend of mine, and it's funny, they can outdrive me like nothing. Like they're like way past me, but there was 3 times that they had to use, we played best ball. There was 3 times that they had to use my ball because mine was straight down the fairway. Right. And the one time there's this creek going, right? So I forget what hole it is. It's at the Tilbury Golf Course, if anybody's listening, but it's the hole that it's a huge ditch. There's water there, and the ground was so hard. This was October 3rd, the first year. And all I did is I prayed. I'm like, Dad, just get me over this damn embankment. Just get the ball over. Well, I was the only one that got the ball over. And my husband's friend goes, what did she just do? He goes, she prayed and got it over. And so and as somebody who I suck at golfing, and I fully admit it, and I really don't enjoy it, except for I go out once a year for our tournament. But yeah, it's just something. I love that you said that, because women have a tendency to stay. We do smaller chunks, but we stay in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, you use that analogy pretty much for most sports. But I just feel like when talking to people, and loneliness is also a big issue. Whether you're COVID made a big point of being alone, in your 1-bedroom apartment, and you're alone, and you work alone, you do Zoom calls, but at the same time, people thrive on interpersonal, the drama. They love the gossip, the drama, but they also, are good people. They're stable people, but the people need each other more than they ever thought. And I think COVID kind of brought that out because loneliness, no one's like, if your mom or dad live in another state, I mean, they're not knocking at your door saying, how you doing?
Mhm.
So I feel like you have to make an effort. And sometimes it's hard. And I know for sure, like I have to call my friends and, and to be connected. And sometimes, you don't want to do it. Sometimes it's like you force yourself to do certain things in life. And there is ultimately a good reason. There is a good reason to try to do things, and when you are invited to a party or something, it's okay to like meet other people, and I feel like you're a big personality and you'll meet everyone. But I mean, like I just using that party analogy, it's like, you want to be in the periphery or you just want to meet people, and you force yourself to meet people, and you don't know what will happen or not happen. But there's lots of things in life that you have to always be aware that everyone has bad tendencies, and bad tendencies can cause a lot of people using drugs, alcohol, whatever their addiction is. Okay. And there's so many addictions, but you have to manage those addictions by, being true to yourself. And whether you're shy or extrovert or whatever, but what I'm saying is you need other people. I mean, if there's so many examples that people need other people, and you would be very surprised, and I have been surprised, the kindness of strangers. Guaranteed they're assholes all the time, okay? Right? You go to a hospital, I guarantee you most 99% of those nurses are they had other choices in life, and they wanted to be a caregiver. There's certain things like, if you look at and I know you're big with the military and all of the frontline people that were out there helping people, they had a choice in their lives to be a teacher. They had a choice, so understand them, that they want to be helpful, and you just have to, and I have a tendency of, I'm blaming, all the medications I'm off. I sometimes I get very short tempered. So I mean, like, just know that about yourself, and blame your drugs or medications, or blame yourself, but you have to allow other people their time to talk.
I love what you said. There's one thing I'm not sure if I'm sure your doctor told you this, but I, as somebody who has had two parents that have either had heart surgery or strokes or had other heart issues, somebody who goes through, whether it be surgery or even having a stroke or a heart attack, they, at least after the first or second year, or even longer, in my mom's case, it's been a hell of a lot longer, they're moody. They, and they can't help it. It's just something's with the heart. It's some kind of damage that has been done. But like a cancer patient can be moody, like the mood swings, or, 1 minute they'll be fine. The next minute it's just like, ooh, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that I found with heart patients when my dad was in the London hospital, talking to different heart surgeons about that. And they just said, you can't take them too seriously right now. If they fly off the handle, just, go to a different room, let them have their say. And so it's just one of those things to be aware of that, thank God I knew that, because even my grandmother has heart issues. So it's all around me.
Okay, so I want to address that. I don't think it's unique to a heart. I think it's unique to a person that is, as you said, able-bodied, very opinionated, and independent. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when that independence is taken away through medicines or I was when you're going through the heart transplant, your bowels are completely messed up. So, I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. So there was a commode, which is very humiliating. Okay. I mean, if you've ever been on a commode in front of people, and they're expecting you to poop, it's not easy.
Oh, I can't imagine it would be.
It is not easy. But sometimes nature calls, and they're giving you so many drugs that you have to get rid of it. But sometimes the ability of control and understanding, and I'm in hindsight, I kind of understand what I went through and who I am and the changes. But I feel like the lack of control plus all the meds you're on. And when you read, okay, this med is has, it's for your cholesterol and it lowers your cholesterol. And before I got sick, I was taking cholesterol medicines, and it's like I didn't even read the side effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's going to help me with my cholesterol, and now you read the side effects. Oh, it could cause this. It could cause this. And I'm that 1% that whatever they say, I'm gonna get it now. I'm gonna get it.
Well, don't speak that over yourself. Reverse that, Jonathan.
No,
Hello.
I mean, if I look at the, but also it's the amount of meds I'm on. So I mean, I was on 40 pills a day. Now I'm down to 25 pills a day. That's still a lot.
That's a hell of a lot, my friend. Like, I'm surprised you don't choke on that.
Yeah, you're joking about you choke, but sometimes you choke with, but you have to do it. Like you have to be. I mean, I'm a fast person. I try to do everything fast, and then you have to just slow down. But I'm saying, I think when you're talking about your parents, your grandparents, and the heart, I don't think it's the heart. I think it's the lack of control, and I think it's the meds. So how do you deal with people? And listen, as much as we think we're therapists, I mean, we're doing the pod, we're trying to allow people to relate to both of us, or both, relate to me. And I'm guaranteed most people like, oh my God, it look at this guy, because it could be worse. Okay. I heard him, it could be worse, honey. So count your blessings. Okay. But overcoming difficulties, financial difficulties, health issues, family issues, that's the name of the game. If you when people doubt you, you have to be strong. And it's not what it's what you do after the problem, the issue, that defines you. Are you going to get up? Are you going to get up, or are you going to play dead? are you going to get up? So far, I've gotten up.
Well, that's good, and some people play a game out of it. Let's see how many times I can get knocked down so I can get back up again. Just like that song, Danny Boy.
Okay. I don't like that knocked down. I think no people don't want to be knocked down, but if you get knocked down,
no one wants to be knocked down.
Right.
But when you get knocked down, get back up again is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Life is like that. Life is going to knock you down and it's going to try and take you out. But it's what like you said, what you do with that, it makes you who you are, and it makes you stronger for it. Like each time you get knocked down and come back up, it teaches you something, or it should.
I think for me, it's been resilience. It's like, man, I've had, heart failure, 2 strokes, brain damage. I lost my gallbladder when, you don't really need it. It's like, well, I came in with my own heart and my old gallbladder, and now I'm leaving with a new heart and minus a gallbladder. So I didn't sign up for that. But you sign up, you don't sign up for anything. Life happens. And it's, as again, we're repeating ourselves, so like, what happens to you when you get knocked down? You get up fast, and sometimes you get up slowly, but you get up. Otherwise, you're dead. Right.
Well, there is that. And so, the alternative is you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's funny because I was on somebody's show the other day and they asked me, how do you keep why do they call you the overcomer? And how did you do that? It's like putting one foot in front of the other is basically what you got to do. You have gotten through 100% of the worst, shittiest days of your life. And so you just keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even realize how you get through it. You take a deep breath and you just walk through the fire and keep walking. And some people, well, how do you do that? You just do it. It's like you said, resilience. You just keep on doing it.
Yeah. But when you step back and think about what you have overcome, both physically, mentally, in your life, with your family, friends, all those people that are connected to you, and they marvel of what you've done. And I kind of like you, I'm saying to friends and family, and it's like, when you're in the thick of it, you're not objective. You're just battling through it. And it is a battle. Life is a battle. Okay. Life is an emotional battle. Life is a physical battle, battling people every single day. Mm-hmm. But I think there is some positive spin. You will find the kindness and graciousness of strangers that can help. And I don't know what they do. I don't know why they do it. But, and I want to be that person I am that person, and I'm just being a little kind of gross in the sense, like when I walk my dog and I see other dog poop, it's not my dog poop. I'll pick it up with my bag just to throw it away, or trash. I'll just, it's not mine. But you know what? Someone has to take account of it. Right. So no one else is going to do it but me. So you walk through your neighborhood and you see, I don't know, certain things on the sidewalk or garbage or something, that you should throw it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Just because it isn't yours doesn't mean that you can't help. And I just want to, there's a story. I don't share the story too often, but I'm feeling led to share it. The first time, I swear to God, my dad had 9 lives, even before cancer. And so one of the times he had gone into renal failure, it started off with a cold, gone into renal failure, was in the Windsor Hospital. And I was at that time doing 2 jobs. and I was living at home at that time, and my mom had pneumonia. My brother doesn't do hospitals, plus he had taking care of 2 kids. So I was the only one going. Back then I was single and wasn't dating anybody. So I pulls up into the parking lot, and keep in mind, the jobs that I had were not great back then. I was cleaning house for somebody because I was in between jobs, and I was working part-time at the grocery store. So that being said, my savings had pretty much depleted. And so I was driving an hour to and from the hospital.
Wow.
And so not only was I paying for gas, paying for parking, paying all that. So I pulled into the parking lot, the hospital parking lot, and this person said to me, "Miss, would you like my parking stub? It's still good for another 2 hours." I sat there and I bawled, because I'm like, this is a complete stranger that didn't have to do that. It was really nice, and, completely made my day. And I just sat there, catch my breath, and thought, she's a complete stranger did something that just to help me out. And I was so appreciative of her. And I obviously, I still talk about it 15 years later. So
the randomness of life, I mean, there is no divine plan. There is no, if you assume, and if you take out religion, which I think is the cause of all problems, take out religion and the randomness of life. Even if you look at the brain, and if you look at certain things that you see all the time, you don't know what will happen. So that's what happened to me. I didn't plan on having a stroke, that I was predisposed. I would say I was predisposed, but no one had strokes and heart failure in my family. My parents, grandparents. I got myocarditis, that was an inflammation of the heart, and then I had heart failure, and so you could say, hey, how did you get this virus? Well, I was careless. I should have stayed in bed when I felt fluish. I had walking around pneumonia. Okay, there was warnings. There were warning signs along the way. I didn't realize that there were warning signs, but I didn't pay attention to them because I have a different agenda. My agenda was selling my movie, and I wanted to go and sell my movie. So I ignored those warning signs. But at the same time, it's the sum of our lives that makes who we are. All the decisions that we have made up until now define you. And so everyone has regrets. Everyone has things that they should have done, but they didn't do, but you didn't do them. It's like you didn't do them.
It just wasn't meant to happen.
It was not meant to happen. So this is what happens, that you and I are on a podcast, speaking today. This is what was meant to happen.
Exactly.
For me.
And with that, because this is the perfect segue to bring Kimberly on, because she's totally all about this, completely 100%. I could just feel her energy in the background.
Yeah.
Bring me on, bring me on, bring me on. I could just feel it.
You could feel it. I will describe. Kimberly is in a kind of a really nice garden chair, and lots of roses are behind her, and they look beautiful.
Yes. Aren't they gorgeous?
I dare say the Garden of Eden, my dear.
Well, it's funny that you would say that. These are probably the most amazing roses I've ever seen in my entire life. And yes, in my roving adventures, it is pretty fun to be in the desert of Phoenix, right? And yet in the Garden of Eden. So I'm thrilled to get to bring that to y'all tonight. And this conversation tonight is, Jonathan, you are such an inspiration, and everything you have to offer is so powerful, and it's really quite gorgeous and as gorgeous and lovely as these roses behind me. Truly. And so it just such a spectacular show. And it's so funny, Dorothy, because I have to keep reminding myself, okay, people might be seeing the show for the first time. They don't know who I am. So I'm going to slow it down just a little to say who I am. My name's Kimberly Genovese. I have the distinct privilege to get to be Dorothy's hands and feet roving reporter. And we sponsor this segment called The Fundamentals. And it's actually spelled fun, capital F-U-N, little d, little u, little h, capital M-E-N-T-A-L-S, The Fundamentals. And the intention of this segment is to be able to wrap all this gorgeousness that Jonathan has shared tonight into a bow, and literally a step-by-step 1, 2, 3, and really set people up powerfully to take what he shared tonight and put it into action, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Jonathan is like, yeah, like it's all about action. That's all I kept hearing, right? It's like, it's the choices you make, it's the decisions you make that makes you who you are, and have to be there. So this segment is sponsored by my company, thekimbra.com. So very quickly, it is a company that is absolutely committed that all life be celebrated and be set up powerfully to be fully self-expressed and engaged with others harmoniously. It is a community environment where everyone in the community is committed to everyone else's success. In this moment, I'm just present to all the cells that we have in our body and how they all work together harmoniously. And inside of the practices and rituals that we provide at thekimbra.com, we focus on giving you power in clarity of your dreams and desires, and then freedom and expansion around time, money, and people, the key resources to life. So with that in the background, Jonathan, we are very excited to hear your fundamentals tonight. Please share.
I feel like we're talking about fundamentals. I would say I feel that they are fundamental to me, but I want to impart it to other people. So I feel like, again, all these cliches, you have to have purpose in your life. So when you wake up, is your purpose your job? Is your purpose your family? Is it your spouse? But everyone has to have something that defines them. And I also feel intent is a big part of your life. So you have to have, purpose and intent are almost interchangeable. But at the same time, you have to have, what is your purpose in life? There are billions of us. Are we just, but what is your purpose and what is your intent? So those are the two things that I hold dear. But also you have to balance it with health. And you have to have a healthy life. And whatever your addictions are, try to understand your addictions and then try to overcome them. So you have to have a healthy lifestyle, and working out for me is my medicine. And my medicine is, I need those endorphins of, how they have to overwhelm me And it can't just be the drugs that we take, but you have to work out, and whatever type of workout you do, it invigorates you. It's the cheapest and the best way to have a healthy, long life. And I'm on borrowed time, so I appreciate that even more.
True. Wow, those are stunning fundamentals and right on the money. So thank you so much, Jonathan. Appreciate you and appreciate all that you're going to contribute through this show and the audience that gets to appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, both of you. I really appreciate being on the show and sharing my thoughts. And, for people that listen.
Absolutely. For those of you that are just tuning in, and we're wrapping things up tonight, but definitely go to Jonathan's website, personalstories.net. Go take a look at that. And if you want to contribute, Jonathan's looking for people to contribute their personal stories as well. We're all firm believers here that everybody has a story and everybody should share their stories because it truly does help somebody else out. So with that, I just want to thank you so much, Jonathan, for being on tonight's show. And any last words that you want to say before we completely wrap this up?
No, I really enjoyed the conversation with both you and Kimberly. And I think Kimberly had the whole totality of what we were saying in our conversation. So she kind of encapsulated, what we were trying to say. And I appreciate, you guys very much allowing me to share my story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And definitely we'll have to keep in touch, and I will definitely connect you with Drew. And perhaps maybe we should book a movie together. We never know where this will lead. Yeah,
we have no idea.
We have no idea. I'm just putting that out there because if you don't ask, you don't receive. So
no, life is a journey, and we connected.
That is so true. Absolutely true. See that, guys? With that, be unstoppable in all that you do, and see you same time,